All right. I am back after a week of not doing this. Obviously, Merry Christmas, Merry belated Christmas, and Happy New Year. It is New Year's Eve, uh, and I am going to be focusing on Melchizedek. Um, as usual, I'm going to give it till the about 5 minute mark to see if my friend Isaac will join the study and hop on. Until then, I'm just going to say Happy New Year. I hope and pray that you all have a good 2026. I hope you and pray that you all had a good 2025. And I look forward to continuing this study into 2026. Um, like I said, I'm just going to give it till about 9:05 to see if I get a response. So I'm going to mute myself until then. Um, I will also say I am going to be off camera tonight because I'm not using my hotspot as I normally do because I ran out of it. So I'll be on my home internet, which is fine, but it's not as close as a hotspot, and it's also being used by others. So until then, until it resets, I'm going to be using this. Um, and it should only be for this week and next week on the 7th. Um, I also wanted to mention that I will possibly be going live again on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and StreamYard at 11:30ish. I'm not fully sure which and if I will be at all. I might be too tired to do that, but I intend to ring in the new year with a Q&A, uh, questions and answers about Christianity. Any questions you might have uh, to ask about my faith and like just anything in general. Um, Football live. It's Wednesday. I don't know. Like it is New Year's Eve and they played on Christmas, so I'm not sure if football is live. Sorry, I got distracted by a notification on my uh, laptop. Anyway, going to mute until about 9:05, 9:06 ish. All right, it's 9:05 and I have not gotten any sort of response. It's understandable. It is New Year's Eve. He might be busy. He might be out doing a New Year's Eve party. I'm not fully sure. I'm not even worried about it. I didn't pop up last week on Christmas Eve for a reason. I was spending time with my family. I was getting ready. Uh, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me one moment. Sometimes I can feel it coming on. Sometimes I can't. Anyway, I wasn't on because I was getting presents around for my girls and uh, just spend time with my wife. Um, but yeah, I didn't get on New Year's Eve on Christmas Eve for a very good reason. I was spending time with my family. I was considering getting on the day after Christmas on Boxing Day night, but then that didn't happen. Wasn't too worried about it. Like I said, I'm not going to be getting on camera because I'm on not on my normal internet, like on my hotspot. I'm just on, you know, on my like on my home internet. Um, so a couple things. So obviously, I chose Melchizedek. I intend on hopefully focusing completely on Melchizedek for the next hour, 45 minutes. I don't know for sure. I might not finish the whole hour. I might not go till 10 simply because I am hoping I can get on at around 11:30 to ring in the new year worshiping Christ. Um, but the reason I want to talk about like focus so much on Melchizedek is because uh Melchizedek is the most similar to Christ that we have, like in the Old Testament. Like not necessarily like in divinity, but just in priesthood and kingship, like kingship, what have you. Um Melchizedek was the king, like a king in Salem, which I don't believe we have map. Like we might have maps from that time, but I'm not even sure where Salem would be in the Near East, in like near Canaan, where Abraham was living when Melchizedek came to bless him. Um, but Melchizedek was in fact mentioned not only in Hebrews, like the book of Hebrews in the New Testament, but he was also uh, something mentioned about him in Psalm 110, uh, and it was a messianic prophecy. So that is why I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to make it in Hebrews. It says that Jesus is sorry. It says that Jesus is a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, and I wanted to make that known because in first century Judea, there was the priest came generally came from the line of Aaron, Moses' brother, uh, and it was the order of Aaron. Like, and I believe for the most part the priests were Levitical, like Levites. But this sorry, I just babbled a little bit. And specifically, uh, Jesus did not come from a Levitical tradition. He came from Jude, like the tribe of Judah. And if I remember correctly, John the Baptist came from the Levitical because his father Zechariah was a priest and sorry. Uh, father of I just want to check to see if I want to verify that he was that John the Baptist was a Levite or came from Levites. Yeah. Okay. Yes, John the Baptist was a Levite, as his father Zechariah was a priest from the priestly line of Aaron, making John a descendant of the tribe of Levi. Okay, just wanted to verify that. So the priests came from like like I keep saying Levitical. The Levites were the tribe of Levi, uh, and I don't know. Does that make it? Would that, since Moses and Aaron were brothers, as Moses, would that make Moses a Levite? Okay. Yeah, Moses was a Levite. The things you learn when you're not even trying to learn. There's a possibility that I didn't know that, but I just could not remember off the top of my head. Anyway, um, so the priests came from the Levites, but Jesus came from the tribe of Judah, like David did. Well, now I have to ask the question: was Judah, like, did the Israeli kings come from the line of Judah? Tribe of Judah. So I know. Okay, I didn't think so. So I know that David obviously had to have come from the tribe of Judah because uh, Jesus is a descendant of David, but I wasn't sure. Okay, so obviously Saul was not from Judah; he was from Benjamin, like the tribe of Benjamin. David and Solomon were from the tribe of Judah, and then they were after Solomon. There was a split between Israel in the north and Judah in the south. Uh, Judah and the south remained loyal to the house of David. Kingdom of Israel broke away, and several different tribes. Hmm. I'm gonna have to look into that more because I'm very interested. But it seems like those that were loyal to King David stuck with, obviously, David, like with the line of David, which means that the line of Judah. Like I didn't do much studying prior to this, so like I keep thinking about my own like questions for myself, and now I'm wondering, Herod the Great, if he was what tribe he came from. Edomite. Okay, that explains a lot. Which means that his son also, Herod Antipas, most likely came from uh, Edom, like from the land of Edom and Edomites. Yeah, I guess his official title was Herod the Edomite and not Herod Antipas. Okay, I'm going to move forward anyway. So the obviously kings came from the tribe of Judah, and that's not like 100% fact. That's just the true kings came from the line of Judah, and the one true king came from the line of Judah. Um, and the priests came from the Levites, like from the tribe of Levi. But Melchizedek wasn't either. Obviously, he came before Moses, so there was no Levites or. Sorry, I think I'm getting a little sick from my daughters. But there was no. Melchizedek came to bless Abraham, who obviously, since he was blessing Abraham, there was no 12 tribes of Israel. It was just Abraham at that time. But he was king of Salem, who came. Sorry, just looking for. Yeah. So he came from Salem, which again, I don't know where exactly that is. But in the notes, it said, like, in the notes of the Bible, like, sorry, in the parentheses, it specifies that Melchizedek, even though he was king, he was a priest of God Most High, and he came and he blessed Abraham. But this is important because he's like, how does he relate to Christ? Christ is called a priest in the order of Melchizedek. And what would that make him? Because Melchizedek wasn't only like a priest, but he was also a king. He was a kingly priest. And he was like a high priest of God. Like I said, I didn't do much studying prior to this. Anyway, I want to bring up Hebrews 7 so that we can go through this. Actually, I'm going to go to Psalm 110 first, because that's going to give prophecy of Jesus, like a messianic prophecy of Jesus. Says, the Lord says to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. The Lord sends forth from Zion your mighty scepter, rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people will offer themselves freely on the day of your power in holy garments. From the womb of the morning, the dew of your youth will be yours. The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord is at your right hand. He will shatter kings on the day of his wrath. He will execute judgment among the nations, filling them with corpses. He will shatter chiefs over the wide earth. He will drive from the brook by the way. Therefore, he will lift up his head. I'm going to go into the commentary on this specifically because I'm interested. I'm sure everyone else who's watching this would be interested. So I don't see why we can't. All right. You are a priest forever. This part of the verse introduces the concept of an eternal priesthood, which is unique in the biblical narrative. Unlike the Levitical priesthood, which was temporary and hereditary, this priesthood is perpetual. This is a prophetic reference to Jesus Christ, who is described in Hebrews 7:24 through 25 as having a permanent priesthood, able to save completely those who come to God through him. Melchizedek is a mysterious figure who appears in Genesis 14:18 through 20 as the king of Salem and priest of the God Most High. His priesthood is significant because it predates the Levitical priesthood and is not based on lineage. This order is characterized by righteousness and peace, as seen in the meaning of Melchizedek's name and title. In Hebrews 7, Melchizedek is used as a type of Christ, illustrating the superiority and eternal nature of Jesus' priesthood. This connection highlights the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy in the New Testament revelation of Christ's role as both king and priest. So that's really the thing that I want to hammer home, like that is why Melchizedek is a type of Christ, because is revelation of Christ, like exactly what it says here, revelation of Christ's role as both king and priest. And I know I've said multiple times already that I didn't do much studying prior to this. I did already know this. Like I did already know this about Melchizedek. I just don't know how to word it very well. I'm not the greatest at speaking. I will be the first one to say that. Anyway, now we're going to hop over to Hebrews 7, where it describes him. It's all of Hebrews 7, so I'm going to read all of it. But for this Melchizedek, which, by the way, very fun name to say. I love saying it. Melchizedek, 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 king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him. And to him Abraham apportioned a tenth part of everything. He is first, by translation of his name, king of righteousness, and then he is also king of Salem. That is, king of peace. He is without father or mother or genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life. But resembling the Son of God, he continues a priest forever. So let's just talk about that real quick. What does it say? He is without father or mother or genealogy. This is merely because he predates the line of Aaron, or the line of, like, the Levitical line. But it is very representative of Christ, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but resembling the Son of God, so he continues a priest forever. Then there's also King of Righteousness, and then King of Salem as King of Peace. Oh, I guess that would make sense. Because if I remember correctly, peace in Aramaic is just SLM. And that's why in Hebrew, peace means, like, they say shalom to mean peace. And then in Arabic, I believe it's salam. Like you've heard them say it. Like you've heard people speaking Arabic saying assalamu alaikum. Like that is, I think it just means peace be with you. So that does make sense. Now I'm wondering if they actually mean, like, if it's actually translated as peace of Salem, like, sorry, King of Salem, or if it's just King of Salam, or whatever Aramaic word it is. Anyway, see how great this man was, to whom Abraham the patriarch gave a tenth of the spoils. And those descendants of Levi who receive the priestly office have a commandment in the law to take tithes from the people, that is, from their brothers, though these also are descended from Abraham. But this man who does not have his descent from them received tithes from Abraham and blessed them who had the promises. It is beyond dispute that the inferior is blessed by the superior. In the one case, tithes are received by mortal men, but in the other case, by one of whom it is testified that he lives. One might even say that Levi himself, who receives tithes, paid tithes through Abraham, for he was still in the loins of his ancestor when Melchizedek met him. Now, if perfection had been attainable through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need would there have been for another priest to arise after the order of Melchizedek, rather than one named after the order of Aaron? So this is a rhetorical question. I like this rhetorical question because it's basically asking if perfection, like if the perfect person could be achieved through the Levitical law, through the Levitical priesthood, why would we need the order of Melchizedek, like a priest to arise from the order of Melchizedek? Why wouldn't we just get another priest from the order of Aaron? I'm sure it'll answer it right here. For when there is a change in the priesthood, there is necessarily a change in the law as well. For the one of whom these things are spoken belonged to another tribe, from which no one has ever served at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord was descended from Judah, and in connection with that tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. This becomes even more evident when another priest arises in the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become a priest not on the basis of a legal requirement concerning bodily descent, but by power of an indestructible life. For it is witnessed of him, and this is from Psalm 110, you are a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. For on one hand, a former commandment is set aside because of its weakness and uselessness, for the law made nothing perfect. On the other hand, a better hope is introduced through which we draw near to God. And it was not without an oath, for those who formerly became priests were made such without an oath. But this one was made by a priest with an oath by the one who said to him, the Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever. This makes Jesus the guarantor of a better covenant. The former priests were many in number because they were prevented by death from continuing office. But he holds his priesthood permanently because he continues forever. Consequently, he is able to save the uttermost, those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. For it was indeed fitting that we should have such a high priest, holy, innocent, unstained, separated from sinners, and exalted above the heavens. He has no need, like those high priests, to offer sacrifices daily, first for his own sins and then of those for those of the people, since he did this once for all when he offered up himself. For the law appoints men in their weakness as high priests, but the word of the oath, which came later than the law, appoints a son who has been made perfect forever. So, I guess it didn't specifically answer the question. Like it did, but it didn't. Like, so let's see if we can exegete this. So the question was, why would we need a priest to arise from the order of Melchizedek and not the order of Aaron? Now, it does kind of answer it here, where it says, if perfection had been attainable through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need would we have? Clearly, it's telling us outright that the law does not create perfection. Perfection is not attainable through the order of Melchizedek. Sorry, through the order of Aaron, through the Levitical priesthood. And obviously, with Psalm 110, we know that prophecy about David, that the prophecy of the Messiah is that the Messiah would come from the line of Judah, from the line of David. And right here it says that like the Lord was descended from Judah, and in connection with that tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. So we know that nothing, like a priest could not come from the line of Judah, no matter what. Well, at least not in like a Levitical priest. A Levitical priest couldn't come from the line of Judah. But a priest could arise in the likeness of Melchizedek. And I like what it says here with an indestructible life. This becomes even more evident when another priest arises in the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become a priest not on the basis of a legal requirement concerning bodily descent. So a priest from the order of Melchizedek was not required to come. Like there was no laws regarding priests coming from the order of Melchizedek. It was purely the power of God, really, the power of an indestructible life. Anyway, for on the one hand, a former commandment is set aside because of its weakness and uselessness, for the law made nothing perfect, which it says up here already. We know that. But on the other hand, a better hope is introduced through which we draw near to God. And it is not without an oath, for those who formerly became priests were made such without an oath. But this one was made a priest with an oath by the one who said to him, "The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever." I like how it's like I'm not gonna lie, I love how blatant this wording is. Like verse 22. This makes Jesus the guarantor of a better covenant. Like I don't think there is very much more you can really say. Like there's no it's not ambiguous whatsoever. It is just he's guaranteed. He is the guarantor. Give me a second. So I need to take a drink of water. All right. So another thing is that even the high priest and the order of Aaron were required to make sacrifices, like uh, legal sacrifices according to law, not only for themselves but for the people. Jesus, though, had no need to do that. He already made. He already made the sacrifice. Sacrifice is done. He has no need, like those priests, to offer sacrifices daily, first for his own sins and then those for those of the people, since he did this once and for all when he offered up himself. The law appoints men in their weakness as high priests, but the word of the oath, which came later than the law, appoints a son who has been made perfect forever. All right. And I'm going through this a little faster than I intended, but I'm going to go to when Abram was blessed by Melchizedek in Genesis 14. After his return from the defeat of Laumer, I don't know how to pronounce that. Chirdelis. I'm just going to say Chirdelis. And the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom, went out to meet him at the valley of Shaveh. That is the king's valley. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and peace. He was priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." And Abram gave him a tenth of everything. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me the persons, but take the goods for yourself." But Abram said to the king of Sodom, "I have lifted my hand to the Lord, God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I would not take a thread or a sandal strap of or anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me. Let Aner, Eshrol, and Mamre take their share." So can we just recognize that the only reason we know about the order of Melchizedek is through Genesis 14, Psalm 110, and Hebrews 7, because Melchizedek is only mentioned in verses 18 through 20. There's no elaboration. We know virtually nothing from that. But in Hebrews 7, it's almost completely about Melchizedek. So I don't know exactly. It really makes me wonder how much the first century Judea knew, like the people of Judea knew about Melchizedek. Like I'm very curious about that now, but I'll have to look into that myself. Because it's very possible, like this is all they knew. Like this is all they might have known about Melchizedek up until here in Hebrews 7, where he's elaborated on. because let me see if because in that one in the commentary on Psalm 110, we did in fact get told Melchizedek is a what is it mysterious figure. Yeah, Melchizedek appears in Genesis 14:18-20, both king and priest without recorded genealogy or end of days, a fitting picture of Christ's timeless ministry. Psalm 110 links the Messiah to Melchizedek, combining royal authority and priestly service. Unlike the Levitical line tied to law and ancestry, the Melchizedek order is grounded in God's oath and Christ's indestructible life. This order reaches beyond Israel to all nations, just as Melchizedek blessed Abraham, father of many nations. Ooh, a new one. Galatians 3:14. What does Galatians 3:14 say? I always go with ESV. I love ESV. Was it 3:14? So that in Christ Jesus the blessing of Abraham might come to the Gentiles, so that we might receive the promised Spirit through faith. So it doesn't actually mention Melchizedek, but it's yeah, okay, I see it. So yeah, we're not given too much information about Melchizedek throughout this. We got some questions. Nice. Sorry, not in the study, not in the comments, but just in this. In I like Bible Hub. I have enjoyed it thoroughly. Hebrews 7 compares Jesus' priesthood with Levi's. Verse 17 cites Psalm 110:4 to prove Messiah's priesthood. Isaiah 1, Isaiah, eternal, royal, and independent of genealogical descent. Melchizedek embodies all three, providing the inspired pattern by which the Holy Spirit validates Christ's unique mediatorial office. Oh, so yeah, we're not given too much information about Melchizedek except in Hebrews 7 and Genesis 14 and Psalm 110. We have very little knowledge. Abraham's tithe shows Levi still in Abram's loins, acknowledging Melchizedek's greatness. Hebrews leverages this to argue that Christ's priesthood pattern on Melchizedek outranks the entire Levitical system. Sorry, I'm just reading through these because I like I said, I didn't do very much studying prior to this. I'm just reading through and trying to learn as much as I can. And we're doing it together. All right. I do think I'm gonna end it here. I think I'm sure there's more that we can do about Melchizedek, but let's think about let's just take this away. Melchizedek was a king and a priest. He had nothing to do with the Levitical lines of of priests, and he had nothing to do with the line of David king, kingly. He was just a king and a priest. And he's just a mysterious figure who we are told has no beginning, no end. He's just there. And that's and we can compare him to Christ in the sense that he is what? Let me see. Resurrection validates the forever clause. Ascension. Timeless portrayal, no birth or death record symbolizing an endless priesthood. Though Melchizedek was human, the literary silence points beyond himself to Christ's eternality. Yeah, this is, like I said, I'm gonna have to do some more study on Melchizedek myself, but I think we've covered him well enough uh, to show that he is a type of Christ. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I will say, like I said, I'm hoping that to go live about 10, like, sorry, not 10, 11, 11:30ish, and ring in the new year. I'll be live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and honestly, I might just do Facebook. I'm not sure. Maybe just Facebook and YouTube. We'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna be going live where, like, I'm hoping to go live around 11:30. So ringing in the new year and talking about God, doing questions and answers. Uh, so happy New Year! I pray that 2026 is fruitful and edifying to your spirit, as I hope it will be to mine. May God bless us all, and have a wonderful 2026. And I hope to see you here next week for the first show of 2026. God bless you.